Hi YouTube, Darth here. This is Over Your Shoulder, a series where I follow unsuspecting players and generally give unsolicited advice and commentary. My victim this week is dragon1548, a player with plenty of engineering, vehicle, and PDW experience. So we can probably expect some vehicle time on this round of Conquest Wave Breaker. As I follow dragon1548 today, I'll call out all the good things, the bad things, and the things I might do differently. So let's look over dragon1548's shoulder. And it looks like we are in some early rib action here. No cooldowns for the deploy on this server. Shit, can't really tell you what he's doing other than ribbing right now. Usually I like to go to the top 2 points on this map just because I like to get that extra boat on my team's side. Now he's got himself a little bit of cover here with the rocks, so it might not be bad to cruise to a stop here and try to take out some of these helicopters that are flying around, or some of the infantry here. Probably try to get a little bit closer to these rocks simply because you make yourself an easy target by being out here in the open for any snipers that are over at Gulf. It's all about positioning when you're in the rib boat and trying to find the best spot possible to inflict as much damage as possible on the enemy team. Dragon's lighting up this light helicopter here. I should be able to get it, but holding it down a little bit too long, he's going to run out of juice here any second now. There, finally hit the cooldown limit. You want to try and burst that cannon on the rib just so you get the most out of it. I usually like to do it in like 4-second bursts at max, just so I can get as much juice out of the rib cannons as possible. Catches that guy, finally. Sees this guy here behind his buddy, and is about to get taken out, and does get taken out by a guy in the rocks. So, the dragon has risen from the flames and is back in a rib boat. Definitely one of the more underrated and underappreciated vehicles out there. I say that because not a lot of people realize how much killing potential it has when you don't YOLO it and drive straight into a point full of enemies, or straight into an RCB. But with that being the case, let's take a look at where we're taking this thing on the tabletop. It looks like Alpha and Bravo are pretty well in Russian hands. Wouldn't be a bad idea to get out here and try to take either of these 2 points. My own personal preference, again, might be Bravo, just in case that other attack boat comes up so you can grab it as quickly as possible. Looks like his team has done just that. Probably would be moving this thing ever so slightly just to make the job harder on snipers and rockets from enemies. Looks like he got his 2 crewmates killed. Still managed to get the job done. And back on the move, possibly towards Echo. Getting a little bit of rib fire from behind. I'd probably at least man the guns and try to return some fire. Probably going to get taken out here by the other rib. Finally gets blown up by a javelin. Once again, we are in a boat. Let's check out and see what he has here. 25mm cannons, TV-guided missiles, maintenance, active protection, and zoom optics. This is a pretty typical setup for a attack boat. The 25mm cannons are nice for killing both infantry and other boats alike. The TV-guided missile is pretty much a staple of all attack boats now. Active protection, maintenance, zoom optics, really it's all your choice, but active protection is pretty mandatory, I think, for that reason right there. We are capturing this point with some teammates. Looks like we have a scope clean. Usually when I am in the boat, if I am not in danger, I'm constantly looking at the map to see where enemies are at. I can't tell you if that's spotted right now for him or not, because the tabletop does show everything. So I know the enemy team's boat is on the other side. I'd probably go hunting for it now. If I knew where it was on my map, I'd probably try to lob TV missiles as far as I can. You can see it now for sure, and he does see that both of these are here, so he needs to respond to this threat immediately or he's going to be in deep trouble. Looks like we have problems up on the ridgeline that we're trying to take care of. Manages to get that guy, but now he's taking TV missiles from the other 2 boats. Looks like we're taking some hits from the gunners on that one, just isn't able to do enough damage in time to live. I think in that case there, Admiral Dragon, I would probably have just backed off of my enemies. You're not going to be able to take 2 boats unless you're world-class boater. Generally, I play it safe and assume that my other enemies are also world-class boaters, so I don't usually try to do 2-on-1. Getting a little bit of damage done here with the rib boat. Does manage to kill his enemies, but gets sniped at the last second. Once again in the boat with Admiral Dragon. Let's see. Yep, same setup we had before. Nothing changed. Again, let's take a look at the tabletops, see what the situation is. It looks like the Russian team is in control of the center pretty well, so I would try to press the advantage out here on the outside and take whatever points were not here on the outside. So I probably would have gone south rather than north. Going for that revenge on a very, very bored sniper out here on the rocks, making himself an easy target. That's always satisfying when you can find that jerk-off that's off in the middle of nowhere and just take him out with a very easy pass. So now I know why he came north. Simple revenge. That's also something you should count on in Battlefield in general, is that if you kill somebody, expect them to come looking for you. If you're sitting around in a camping spot like that, you're probably doing yourself no favors. Doing a job of trying to figure out where these guys are. I think he popped his APS there. Doesn't look like it. No, never mind. Continuing to track down the last of that squad, manages to kill him. There's the advantage of the 25mm is you get that nice splash damage that can help you take out infantry a little bit quicker than any of the other options. Looks like we got hit by another javelin, perhaps? Probably the bane of this guy's existence right now, especially from parachuters. Here's an example of where burst probably would come in more handy, is if you're trying to kill parachuters or guys in the air. Either case would have worked there. He's trying to close the distance to this guy so he loses his lock. Manages to finally kill him. Probably needs to lead a little bit better in the future. Nothing really going right now on this attack boat. I'd probably try to get it closer to land or find a better squad that actually can jump in my boat. Currently only one other squad member. And it looks like Dragon's trying to hunt down these personal watercraft, not necessarily getting much traction here. Almost beaches his boat doing this. Again, this is probably a situation in which I would try to think, where can I be at on the map to cause the most amount of trouble for the enemy team, not necessarily chasing down easy kills. I'd probably just sit on this point and try to take it from the Russian team, get at least a little bit of motion here. Declines to do that and instead is going for the easy kill. Manages to see this boat over here in the distance. I'd probably have stopped and started taking shots at him, regardless. That looks like it was a beached RCB, however. And it looks like somebody delivered it some sandwiches. Doing a good job here on the attack boat. Finds the flag, doesn't stay on it. In that case, I probably would have stayed in that position trying to take that flag. You can also do it from this backside on Wave Breaker. You can get a little bit more effect over here because you tend to attract a lot of their infantry to try and come out here and get some kind of easy kill. You got to watch out for those tow launchers, though, on the top side up there that we just saw. It looks like his team is going to handily get this. He may be going for a TV missile here on the AC-130. Definitely have to keep in mind the position of where this thing is if you are on the outside. Now he's in a little bit of trouble because the rib boat next to him is doing a mating dance. Gets hit by the guns, probably a time to bail, and manages to survive just before the end. You can pretty much expect that the AC-130 is going to finish you off and not try to get in your vehicle, so it's generally probably okay to get out if you have less than 10 health. You're taking fire from all 3 cannons on the AC-130. Alright, looks like Admiral Dragon has come back from whatever nap he was taking behind the rocks there. Back in motion towards this point, gonna have a hard time getting there with enemies shooting at him. Once again in the RCB boat, looks like we're gonna be doing this for most of the round. Doesn't see that AC-130, taking a look at it after he got out of the spawn. So since he doesn't have to worry about the AC-130, Dragon can now focus on the other boats and infantry, and it would be especially productive to get rid of this giant pile of infantry here at Charlie. Got that rocket coming in, pops the APS just in time to get it done. Nice timing on that one. Doing a little bit of walking back and forth here with the boat, so good on him. He's actually making it a much harder target for those engineers to get a shot in on him. Even a little bit of motion while you're moving around in a vehicle trying to take a point can very much throw off your enemies. I've probably dodged countless rockets that I didn't even know were flying at me because I was moving ever so slightly. Doesn't manage to dodge that one, does take that shot. So you see the effect there, the 25mm splash. He's going to probably be able to get this guy if he doesn't move. Engineers right there. Probably time to back off a little bit from this point since you got infantry support. You try to get them to mop that up a bit. Not wasting any time, sees this guy on his mini-map, starts taking shots at him, takes this guy out, and manages to get killed up by a different boat. And Admiral Dragon is back in his boat, and he's not taking any gruff from the enemy team on this particular round of Wave Breaker. Like Captain Ahab, he's piling on that white whale and riding as long as he possibly can. Probably going to beach it here and find himself a nice cozy revenge spot on all the engineers that were up here shooting at him the entire game. Javelins, etc. I'm not really a big fan of going up here. There are no points up here whatsoever. Usually the infantry action is really sparse, and sometimes you get surprised by people who are just camping, so generally it's not much fun to go up here. If I have to, I take a pass in the Little Bird and call it a day. Looks like we're looking for that revenge, though. Seeing if we can find the enemies that are up here. Slowly billy goat crawling all the way to the top. This is, again, another reason why I don't like coming up here, is it just takes so long to get up here. If you don't know exactly where you're going, you're going to have a problem. Now, you see that attack boat down there at Charlie. I would probably make use of that since it's empty, rather than go on this revenge trek. You could definitely do a lot more damage down there than you can do up here. Always be looking for opportunities that your enemies gave you on the minimap, especially like empty vehicles. Manages to find his nemesis, gets a headshot in there, luckily at the end of his ammo round, or his magazine. And continuing to look for any other bad guys. Finds this guy. I probably would have taken a little bit of joy in my revenge there and knifed him anyways, because you can hear that he's using the javelin. There you go. There's the splashback. That's his classy maneuver. Oh, pays for it. See, karma is instant. So lesson learned, if you're going to splashbag your enemies, make sure their friends are not around to kill you. Once again, we are in the RCB, no changes here. Taking a look at this point, probably be an easy take for the American team. It is the gimme for the American team, so it seems kind of strange the Russians have had it all game. Taking a look at the third person, or excuse me, the tabletop, we have two boats over here, so definitely need to be careful and start considering ways of taking these two things out. He pops his APS between those two shots, probably a little bit early because he's not quite being shot at yet. And we can see that javelin on the hills lining up another shot on him, and does manage to get hit there. Thankfully for him, neither of those two boats were paying attention to him at the same time. Trying to get that guy. Again, he's made himself pretty vulnerable here by putting himself between two boats and having that javelin rain down on him. That next one's going to critically disable this vehicle, does. And this is where a repair squad on your boat would have come in handy, which is why it's always nice to run with a full squad. Ooh, looks like we're getting shot from islands. That kind of sucks. Lost the boat. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we're probably going to die here any second now from the guy who's behind him who hasn't responded to yet. Manages to get lucky here, catches the boat. Great grab. Instant revenge. And catches those two guys taking a nap. This is really why it's not a great idea to camp, because revenge, it's a hell of a thing. Taking quite a few hits from that circling AC-130, he needs to get out of here, or at least get under the AC-130 to try and get out of its arc of fire. Not a bad instinct. Trying to stay underneath the AC-130 so that it can't mess you up. Good catch on that one. Gets caught by a rocket there and disabled. This may be the end of his RCB trip here. Stays alive for a little while. Getting an annoying amount of engineers just parachuting in with javelins right now. Not much you can do other than repair it. I probably would have gotten on the fourth slot. I do suppose this keeps the friendly team from taking your boat, but not the enemy team from taking you out. Admiral Dragon once again in the boat. Let's take a look at the tabletop and see what we should be doing here. Alpha and Bravo, definitely two things to consider locking down. Gotta watch out for the AC-130. It's making a pass now, so you might have to adjust your strategy. Looks like we were going for the roadkill there. Didn't quite get it. Generally, I would have just switched to the guns and started blasting them, because now you're going to have problems with the AC-130 and the boat from their spawn. You constantly have to worry about the boats from their spawn coming to this point as one of the 2 points that are closest to the Russian spawn on this side. Manages to get lucky there with a last-second deagle round to that guy's face. Gets taken out by just everything and the kitchen sink. Once again in my favorite boat. Looks like this flag's being disturbed, so I'd probably try to stick around here a little bit and give a little bit of minigun action to everybody that's around here. Not a bad idea to stick here and try to intercept everybody going from Bravo to Alpha. Probably want to keep this thing moving though, not stay at 100% in the sights of everybody. Missed that guy over there to the left. That guy missed him, so could have been shot in the face there. It was about to be. I probably would not have aimed down sights there. I probably would have tried to use the hip fire of the MPX, because the hip fire would have been much better in that case. But in that case, it wouldn't have mattered simply because there were three guys closing in on them. Remember what I said about revenge earlier? I'd probably put a silencer on here because he seems to be running alone pretty often, and you don't want to be picked up by a whole squad of enemies. Because now you've pissed them off and you've gotten shot from front and behind. Oh, back in a boat. Looks like the boat's already in trouble. Dragon's taking a swim for shore here. He needs to get underwater and stay underwater if he's going to have any chance of getting to the shore. Popping up like this is a sure recipe for him to get killed. Just like this. If we can't have a rib boat and we can't have an attack boat, we will take a ski-doo. Or a personal watercraft if you prefer. Or jet ski. Or motorcycle would have been a better name for it, eh? Anyway, back with the billy goating up this side of this hill. Definitely can't get enough of killing these guys. Looks like the teams are slowly separating in who's going to win this. The Russian team's about 200 points ahead right now. Probably going to stay that way with 5 cap to 2 out of the 7. They've always been in control of the center area, so if I were working on this map right now, I'd either try to hold on to that outside as tightly as I could, or I would start trying to push into the center area and get some of the close quarters action that I really like. Looks like we're moving our way towards Echo currently. Taking a look at the minimap, seeing if we can see anything. We see a couple of guys, but since we were up there, I'm guessing that they're all below. Working our way down, seeing if we can get on the flag point without actually exposing ourselves. This is not a bad spot to be if you can get here, although it's going to be kind of difficult because the Russian team can simply pull up here in one of those boats and make you very miserable because their spawn is right there. Gets a possible great shot of the SMAW on an enemy. This is probably one of my favorite sniper rifles in the game. And by sniper rifle, I mean rocket rifle. A little bit of quiet action here. Nobody's showing up. Seems to be looking for him. Probably going to manage to take this point, no problem. Let's see what he does after this. He may go back on his hunt above and try to billy goat some more. A lot of points are in motion. The U.S. team could turn it around if they hang on to everything that's in motion right now. Not going to get that one. See a couple of guys here on the minimap yet. Definitely some action over here to the left. Probably would be keeping a close eye there. Catches that guy. Good use of the minimap to do so. Let's take a look at what he's actually using for his kit here. We've got an Ace-21 with a Coyote, a target detector, and a stubby grip. This is an okay setup and an okay weapon for this particular map because it is good in both close quarters and long-range situations. Dragon's setup looks a little more tailored to the long-range game, so I'd probably throw on a heavy barrel there to complement what he already has. Personally, I'd probably run this with an angled grip, but that's my particular choice. Lining up another sniper rocket here, manages to get it off and gets his enemy. Does a good job of diving to cover, especially underwater when he's being shot by an enemy. Might be getting seen here, so I'd be very careful. Gets lucky here, whoever was shooting at him is now distracted. Doing some tap fire in there. Again, this might be why an angle grip might be better for his situation. Unless you're going to take some longer bursts, like 5 to 7 rounds, which is not a bad idea with carbines, by the way, because they do have kind of a miserable damage model. There's a longer burst. Misses that guy on the map. Definitely would have been a great opportunity to hip fire there instead of trying to get the aim down sight. Alright, back on the boat again. Looks like we were in the 4th position and didn't much feel like repairing. Got a couple of guys here. Definitely needs to make a little bit more use out of his hip fire. I think there's some situations here where it definitely would have called for it. Put a laser on this thing and you're good to go. Missing this guy. Oh, could have taken the rocket right here. Oh, yes, do it. Oh, too late. Good intuition, though, about how to deal with an enemy behind a wall. If you know there's an enemy behind a wall, explosives are always a great idea, especially if you know that wall's destructible. There are a few in this game that are not, and surprisingly not, so almost hits a helicopter, misses it at the last second there. Sees an enemy and takes a shot, getting shot back himself, and just too much panic fire leads him to miss his target and also get killed. I think in that case, when I know I'm screwed, what I'll end up doing is taking out one of the enemies and just eating the death that I know I'm going to have anyways. And you never know, sometimes you might get lucky. You might end up actually living through one guy's fire, take out the one, and then take out the other. Most of the time, though, that's just an indication that you need to cover yourself a little bit better and be mindful of where enemies are shooting at you from. Quick peek at the tabletop here. The Russian team has been in command of this map pretty much the whole game. Down by about 330 tickets now. Probably not going to turn this around on the American side. They are making inroads on the inside, though, which they haven't done for the rest of the game. This is not a bad way to push either of the flags because most people tend to stick towards the bottoms. You may catch a couple of people coming up here for their camping spots, and you can get a nice situation just like that where you come around behind where the other team is generally pointing. Manages to catch this guy thanks to good use of the mini-map. We're going to see if he can get a shot on that guy. There is just too much cover between him and his enemy right now for him to make much of a dent. He's trying to get a little bit closer. Might be a good time to use a grenade rather than trying to run in and beat the other guy's aim. Dragon manages to outshoot his enemy, but at the same time made himself way too easy of a target. That could have gone another way entirely. Good sense of that there are enemies coming. You can see the dead body of your ally there, so you know that there's somebody coming. There's a couple of guys over there. Don't know why he's turning his back and his left side wide open to that. He could be killed at any time and does get taken out. Definitely got to watch your angles whenever you're dealing with enemies nearby. It takes a terrible risk here with this enemy and tries to come in here. Probably would have been better to throw a grenade. Really unlucky spawn, gets taken out. Back in the game again, looks like we're trying to stop Charlie from being taken by the Russian team. Looks like the Russians have been mopped up here. Yes, you can see the last body right there. I probably would have stuck on that capture rather than getting off of it, just so I can soak up as many points possible this close to the end of the game. If your aim is to capture points, I probably would be sticking on the outside in a speedy craft to try and get as many as possible. We are still trying to push towards Echo. Situation on the map is still really bad for the American team. Probably would have switched out from that repair torch. Haven't gotten a lot of use out of it the whole game. Might have put on a mine or something. Get some slams, get lucky in the water. Trying to take out these guys that are behind here. Might have had a better shot at this guy with that small. Take the shots that look more obvious is one bit of advice I would take there. Rather than the maybe I find a guy behind this wall shot. Although good intuition regardless, you do have to come up the corners here to get up right now. This is fixed on the CTE, by the way, but there's still these problems left over from the new animation system. Making his way for some revenge on these guys over here, who probably a little bit too exposed there for too long, gets taken out by way too many buddies to take care of. Getting a little bit of action here before the bitter end with the AC-130. Currently in the second gun. Not much this one can do other than do a little bit of damage to vehicles. This is probably my least favorite position on the AC-130. I like position 3 simply because you can get those nice infantry kills with it, and I like position 1 because of the nice 120mm cannons you can use to take out boats, especially on maps like this if you're good at aiming. Catches one guy here on the emplacement. Probably not correcting his aim just enough to get him in time. Looks like taking some rounds from the ground somewhere, possibly a rib. Not going to get any action here before the end. And that brings this round to a close. Dragon1548 had a couple of good pushes in the boat, but I feel like there are a lot of times where he could be working on the situational awareness of the battlefield around him some more. When you're in a vehicle, you should really be thinking about where your biggest competitors are at all times. Be sure to maximize the value of that vehicle by making it a nuisance for the enemy team. Kill their vehicles, capture points, and help your team's infantry to capture points. There were also a couple of times on the inside of the map where Dragon made himself an unnecessarily easy target by ignoring nearby enemies to instead get a kill. Definitely need to watch that minimap and try to avoid tunnel vision. That's it for this episode of Over Your Shoulder. If you liked this episode, please be sure to leave a like. If you're new around here, check out my channel and please consider subscribing. If you'd like to be featured in a future episode of Over Your Shoulder, be sure to send me a message on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.